What's going on? I have another Raw review here from October 10th, 1994. Let's get right into it as always. Raw starts off with the stable of the Million Dollar Man because Bam Bam Bigelow is taking on Lex Luger. And luckily for us, we have the ability to fast forward. So it sucks if you were watching this live back in the day that you had to sit through this match on Raw. But King Kong Bundy made his appearance on Raw for the first time and he joins the Million Dollar Man Corporation. To cancel out the corporation, Mabel and Adam Bomb made their way to ringside on the part of Lex Luger. We get to the end of the match. Bigelow knocks heads with Tatanka, who was up on the apron, and Luger rolls him up. Bigelow is pissed and starts arguing with Tatanka as DiBiase tries to calm them down. I didn't even think about this, but now DiBiase has all these guys in his stable as his clients, and how is he going to contain all of these egos? Because none of these guys are partners in any way. They were all just brought in by DiBiase separately. I think it's going to be a fun dynamic to see how DiBiase deals with all these different characters and egos and wrestlers and stuff like that. So we move on from that. We get footage from a WWF Superstars taping where Bob Backlund is on the Heartbreak Hotel. And even though they are all heels, I like that Bob still doesn't allow to get his ass kissed by Shawn. He says that he doesn't think Diesel or HBK are in his league. He also throws out the challenge to Bret Hart for a match. So we'll see what happens with that. We are about 6 weeks from Survivor Series, so I think that's when this is going to take place. Didn't think I'd be this interested in this storyline, but I'm behind this Bob Backlund because he's supposed to be a crazy old man. I never really liked him because I thought his promos were boring, but he actually cuts a decent promo and he plays the character pretty well. So then Mabel comes out for a jobber match where he wins with a leg drop. He hips and hops while he celebrates his victory as well. Following that, Owen Hart being accompanied by Jim Neidhart to take on a jobber. He is able to pick up the win with the sharpshooter. This time in the WWF, nobody is really challenging for any titles as they move towards Survivor Series. So Owen Hart is probably just going to be hanging around. No fighting for any titles until 1995. Another Undertaker promo, but again, it's for the tour they are on and not for anything that's canon, so we're going to skip that. Then DiBiase makes his way back out for King Kong Bundy's match against another jobber. Bundy picks up the win with a splash into the corner. With all this talk about the new generation, why do they continue to push these wrestlers from the 80s? I wouldn't be pointing it out if they weren't promoting it. Bob Backlund, Jerry Lawler, King Kong Bundy, Ted DiBiase. Some of them I don't mind, but come on. Then we see footage from a Superstars taping again. Lawler is being called out by Doink on the Titantron, and while he's distracted, Dink puts a pie on his seat at commentary and Lawler sits on it, which then gets us to another King's Court. He starts out by saying it's going to be the shortest King's Court ever, and I was jumping for joy, but instead he just meant that his guest is someone that is going to take care of Dink. He calls him Queasy, and out comes a little person dressed up as the king. I mean, Jesus, McMahon really loves to make fun of little people for some reason. This isn't the first time, and it's not going to be the last we see a little person on WWE TV. Even last year in 1993 with the Little Macho Man, if you remember that. Queasy says that he's going to take care of Dink because he's not royalty like him and Lawler. And yes, this was just as bad as you can imagine it if you didn't watch it. Next up, we have the new head shrinkers, Sion and Fatu, taking on enhancement talent. They pick up the win after a big boot from Sion. Macho Man says they are seeing the better version of the head shrinkers, but I think the old version was just as fine. I don't know why they changed it, unless there was something wrong with the other guy. Samu, I think was his name? Yeah. Finally, Doink joins Vince and Macho Man ringside because he has a match against Jarrett next week. Doink says that he has a little surprise for the King this weekend, and that's it for the show. Very underwhelming yet again. I'm going to give Raw another bad grade. It starts off with a Lex Luger match. It's okay if you're a fan of him, but it ends with a roll-up. While I already said it's going to be a fun dynamic, they're already teasing tension in the Million Dollar Corporation. It just got underway. Why are they already teasing it? Then they add a slow, boring wrestler to the stable in King Kong Bundy. Also, we haven't seen the Intercontinental or WWF Tag Team Champions since the Raw after SummerSlam. Racer and Diesel were on like every other show before SummerSlam, and now that they are champions, I know Diesel was champ before anyway, but now Shawn is also tag champion. I want to see them, and they aren't anywhere to be found. So, yeah, another bad show. I can't see what they do right now to change that for the near future. So, it looks like I'll be having to put up with these awful shows for a while. So, with that being said, I am out.